Thank you so much for clicking on my channel. My name is Lulu, and today is a long video. Today is my son's birthday. My son that I never got to have, that I never seen grow up, because he's in heaven with Jesus. I mean, who better else to be with, right? So today I'm going to talk about how it happened. Well, 8 years ago today, I started having contractions about this time actually. And I didn't understand anything of what was going on, I don't know, and I felt like I just felt like I had to take a dump, okay, is what it felt like. And it hurted a little bit, but I didn't think I was giving birth, And my mom was in dialysis, or I used to take her to dialysis, and mom needs dialysis, right? And she honestly she can't be without it, right? I mean, if anyone who knows dialysis knows that dialysis is very important, right? So I was like, I'm just gonna take my mom to dialysis and then go to the hospital. Stupid me, right? I don't know. Not because of mom, but because I got to dialysis and I forgot, I think my ID, I don't remember what it was, but I had to go back for it, and I went back, and it's like a 30-minute drive back home. So I went back home, and then we went to the hospital, my son's dad and I. And the whole way, it just kept getting stronger and stronger, and that's when it hit me. This sun is amazing, isn't it? Oh. Anyways, and I just kept thinking, like, that's where it hit me, and I was starting to get scared because, well, the contractions were coming, like contractions from what I heard of, from what I read. And the thing is, I was 5 months pregnant, and I didn't know it. I didn't know I was pregnant those 5 months. I only knew I was pregnant for 2 weeks, okay? I knew I was 5 months because I obviously went to the doctor, but because it had been 5 months already, it was hard for me to get a doctor, because usually, doctors follow the whole pregnancy. So it was really hard and difficult, and I got a doctor, but it wasn't, I was supposed to see that doctor in 3 days after today, July the 2nd. And so it wasn't like in paper, this is my doctor, this is who I was supposed to go see, and then she was going to be my doctor or something. I don't know, okay? Everything just happened so fast. And I go to the hospital, and I probably can't even say which hospital, because it was in Houston, okay? It was in Southwest. That's all I'm gonna give, I guess. And I got there, and because I had been there the day before for the same reason, because I was having like weird contractions or something, like I was just having pain, and I went there because it's my child, right? And they're just like, they did all this test, and they said, like, oh, everything's fine. And I was like, I swear this baby knows or something, because it was hurting up until they strapped me with, what is it called? Like, I don't know, it was like a belt, and then they put like stuff in my stomach, and they were gonna hear the heartbeat and something. And basically the baby's like not even moving, chilling, like, I was like, I swear, it was hurting, and I think it was like a contraction thing, I don't know. So they're like, you're fine, go home. So like I said, on the next day, when I had those extreme contractions, it was like 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning or something, and it was so painful, okay? And anyway, so I get to the hospital July the 2nd, and I could barely talk, okay? We even parked, because I didn't know I was actually having my child, okay? So we get to the hospital, and we parked at the visitor, because I didn't think it was an emergency. My son's dad, sorry. My son's dad is an illegal immigrant, and if I was gonna have this baby, I was not gonna let them take him away, right? I mean, sometimes you just can't trust. You can't trust anyone, okay? And I was like, just park in the parking spot. That way he's not driving in an area where there's a bunch of cops, and they stop him because he's freaking out. He don't know how to park. Like, he had only been from Mexico for like, I think it was 5 years, but that man was working home, right? And he had never been to a hospital here in Texas. And anyway, so we walk. It was like, I swear, it felt like a freaking 30-minute walk, and it was only, I don't even know, it was not that far, okay? It took me forever because I walked, and through every step, like I said, it was like a time frame from when the contractions hit. I mean, pregnant people, right? Or, anyone who has a kid knows what that is. So it just kept like stopping the pain, and I would walk and kind of like speed walk. But by this time, I swear I felt like my cooch was like, not funny, right? But it felt like that, and I was scared, because I'm like, there's a baby inside of me, and that could only mean that he's coming right now. So I get to the hospital, and I was out of breath, and I was like, my baby, I think he's coming. Like, it hurts so bad, I can feel it or whatever. And that's all I could basically say. And then my baby daddy, he only spoke Spanish, so he really couldn't help. And there was a bunch of Americans, I'll say that. And where the heck? Oh, here it is. And so, with that being said, they're like, okay, we'll take you to a room or whatever, And then they had me waiting, first of all. Excuse me. Sorry. So they had me waiting in the room, right? So I had to go to the bathroom, or not in the room. They had me waiting in the waiting area. And I had to go to the bathroom. Like I felt like I had to take a dump, right? Like a massive dump or something. I don't know how to explain it, but I went to the bathroom and my baby daddy wheeled me in there, and I sat down and I was just like, oh, like it hurted. Okay, it hurt so bad. And the doctor went in and they're like, no, don't do that, And then she wheeled me up into the birth section of the hospital, It was just like right upstairs or whatever. And we took the elevator and the lady's like, oh, you're back. And I was like, this is not funny. It hurts right now, And she was like, okay, I'm going to need you to pee in this cup. And I was like, I don't think I can. She's like, I'm going to need your pee, And I was like, all right, well, doctors, nurses, they should know, right? So I was like, all right. So I got wheeled to the bathroom and I stood up. And as I stood up, I felt like a contraction hit. And this time the contractions felt like it took a little bit longer. Like I was sitting there and it just felt like the pain was longer than it had been before. And each time it just felt longer, And well, as the contractions stopped, I felt like, okay, this is my chance to try to pee, I guess, right? I don't know. And I squatted to pee or whatever in the cup. And I guess I squatted in the right way where it just felt like literally like that out of me. But like it didn't hurt, like I guess because my son was only 1 pound and 11 ounces. So itty bitty, right? And then it was like a split second because he came out and I was like relieved because literally almost immediately the pain went away, And I realized like it was so fast. It feels like this could have taken forever. No, it was so fast, right? So like I said, the pain went away and it was like, and then I was like, and I turned around and I gave birth to my son in the toilet. He was in the toilet, and when I had looked up, he floated back up. And I was like, I can't believe it's actually a baby. I honestly thought that I was dying. And I wasn't really pregnant, I didn't know. I didn't think I was going to get pregnant ever in my entire life. And anyway, so at the same time, when I turned and my son looked up, the door creaked open and it was the nurse, and she was like, the door, and she was like this. And then I was like, and she immediately ran to me and she's like, oh my God. And she picked him up and he was so little. And that's when I realized he was a boy. And I was like, oh my God, it's a boy. And I was so happy, I was so happy to see my baby and to know that I was going to be a mom, and up until I heard the nurse say, it's okay, it's going to be okay. And I was like, what? Usually to me, when nurses say that, is because it's not going to be okay, And, excuse me. Okay, and then, so I just, like, my heart sank, and I was like, is he going to be okay? Is everything, what's going on, And she's like, it's okay, I'm going to take him to the doctor, or whatever the heck she said. I honestly don't remember, because how? And she, like, basically ran out. She didn't even care about me or anything. And I walked out and I looked at my baby daddy, and he was, and I was crying because, like I said, I did not believe that it was a baby. And I looked at him and I was like, it's a boy. And he started crying with me. And a few moments later, another nurse comes in and she's like, okay, have a seat. And she was checking me. And as soon as she got done checking me down there, like 7 doctors, I don't even know if they were like my kind of doctors or women doctors, or birth giving doctors, I don't know, but there's like 7-8 doctors there, and they all came into the room, and I freaked out, right? Because I was like, what the heck is all these doctors doing here? And they were just like, I'm sorry, you're gonna have a bad 4th of July. And I was like, what do you mean? Who says that? I thought to myself. And they were just like, your son didn't have his lungs fully developed and he's not gonna make it. So they basically said that they're gonna put him down. I don't honestly remember the word that they used, but that's the only word that I remember them I think that they used, and I was like, what? And they were just like, yeah, we're really sorry, blah, blah, blah. They took me to this fancy ass room, and I was just crying and crying, and my son's dad was crying, and the nurse brings him in, and she's like, do you want to hold him? But when she brought him to me, he still had like muscle spasms, I think that's what they said. And his little mouth opened when I looked at him, and I was like, and he was like, oh. It was terrible, terrible time of my life. And I couldn't hold him. I was so scared. I was so sad. I didn't want to see him like that, and I couldn't. And my son's dad, he just held me and he laid with me in the bed, and we just cried, and they had the baby in the incubator, and we cried, and almost like a few moments later my dad shows up, and I was like, Daddy, and he's like, the baby was almost by the door, it was like closer to the door, so my dad literally almost immediately saw the baby first, and he picked him up and carried him, and he's like, wow, he looks like his dad. And I was like, really? And he brought him to me, and actually my son's dad, he picked him up from my dad, because my dad, I guess he knew that we were in shock or something, because he was laying with me and we were crying, and the baby was in the incubator, I regret that moment forever. And he's like, he looks just like him. And then he like kind of showed us, and then my son's dad went and picked him up from my dad's arms, and he carried him, and he's like, he has my nose, and I was like, let me see, and he gave him to me, and I held him, and oh my God, that moment was so, I'll never forget that moment, when I carried him and I watched him, and how every little part of him, I remember, like his little ears, his little eyes, he looked just like his dad, and I was like, oh my God, it looks like only you gave in the effort. And we joked about it a little bit, and I cried some more, and They took me to another room, and they let me carry him all the way to the room, and that's when I counted all his little 5 fingers. I couldn't look at his little body because I was so scared that it was going to be see-through, and I didn't want my heart to break, you know? And I looked at his little fingers, and his skin looked so delicate, you know, and he was purple, but like, you know, when you see little newborn white babies, they're like a pink purple, you know, and he was like a darkish purple, which made me feel like, because you know we're brown, so it made me feel like maybe he was gonna be dark just like me and Daddy, you know. And it was so depressing. And they took him away, and they usually put these babies in freezers, right, until you're ready to see what you're gonna do with them. And I was so sad to know that he was in there, but I had priests come in, you know, like different kinds or whatever, because I guess they didn't know what religion I was. You know, I had a Christian priest, I had a Catholic priest, and I think they were Mormon at some point or something, and they all blessed my son and said they're so sorry. They gave me a teddy bear, the doctors, the hospital, and stuff like that. And that's what happened. I had my son cremated, and he's with me at home. And I told my mom that whenever she passes, that wherever she goes, I want my son to be with her. And she said yes. And that's my story today. Today I gotta relive that moment. So I don't really know what to say anymore. I'm just so sad, so lonely. I miss him every day. And 8 years old, gosh darn it. You know how big that is? I mean, obviously, right? But, well, me and his dad ended up breaking up because honestly, it was my fault, because I couldn't deal with looking at him and him looking just like the baby, and things just weren't the same. And I mentioned it to him, and he was really heartbroken too, you know, to know that that's how I felt. And we just thought it would be best if we just break up, you know. And we broke up kind of hard because I became a heavy drinker after that, and after my son, I became an extreme alcoholic. And of course he didn't like it because he wasn't much of a drinker. But so yeah, anyways, I'm gonna end this story. I'm sad now. I'm gonna do my eyeliner, go inside and work. You'd think I would get the day off, but I don't think I can sit at home thinking about this all day. At least if I'm busy and struggling. Anyways, for anyone who cared to listen, thank you so much. And I couldn't sue the hospital because I didn't know I was pregnant for 5 months. Anyways, so I couldn't sue the hospital because I didn't know I was pregnant for those 5 months. I did smoke the stuff, and the lady at the hospital was so mad at me and was like, how could you be pregnant and smoke and blah blah blah. And I was like, I didn't know. And it's like she didn't care to listen, you know. She was just like, I can't believe, you know. And I just knew it was a lost cause. Plus, you can't really fight the hospital over stuff like that. They will forever win because it's a hospital. Anyways, I'm done. Again, thank you so much for listening. If you listened. Hasta la vista, baby. I just keep getting fatter, y'all.